Hey, fuck you, artists. Did you pour thousands of hours into getting good at a craft thinking that means you get to own the stuff that you make? Are you a dumb enough motherfucker to think you're entitled to an audience if you don't already have one? Welcome to Super Despair World, the only podcast that's willing to rub your nose in the shit for thinking you have any right to upload anything to the internet that doesn't benefit our shareholders and dominate the attention economy. Don't subscribe, don't like this video, don't fuck with us, because on this show, you're fucked 6 ways to Sunday. Now crack open your wallet, assholes, because here's how you can send us laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah, get on patreon.com/superdespairworld and join the Patreon. You can join it for free or donate a sinister $6 to get access to all of our bonus episodes, which are fucking incredible, by the way. Nobody ever expected this. They said you will never be making good bonus episodes, and then they spit out their cereal afterwards, just like that seminal meme that you're all thinking of right when I said that. And then also you can donate a $20, donate to Project $20, and for something that we're just rolling out right now, where you can get a couple stickers with the amazing episode art that Briar makes, and possibly some other shit in the future. We're still sussing this out, but and to everybody who's already done either of those things, thank you greatly. And to anyone who's thinking about it, just do it, and you will be happily surprised by how fucking great it is, and how just do it. Just do it. And then also we have a Discord. Yeah.
You dipshits better pay for the premium show, because that's where we put all the good stuff, not for you free motherfuckers who are just latching on like parasites.
Exactly. We put the good in the bonos. It's the opposite. Usually most podcasters they make the good show for the masses, and then their bonus episodes are just garbage. No, it's the opposite.
No, let's not kid ourselves. Most podcasts are not good.
That's also true. That's also true. And then also if you're digging the vibes here, if you wanna click to know more, we also have a Discord. You can join that for free right now. Maybe in the future you won't. I'm just saying. Get in there, get involved, and you can come talk to us, talk to a bunch of other really cool viewers. We have a Discord Q&A section where you can ask us some questions, and we once in a while do an episode where we answer them. And then also you could suggest topics for future episodes, which nobody's been doing lately, actually, you little bitches. Give us some suggestions. We need it.
Yeah, ask us your pointless questions so that we can degrade you in like a more specific way. Yeah, exactly.
So that's how you can participate. I'm just saying, you don't have to, but I mean, what else are you really doing? Let's be real. Come on, get in there.
Yeah, you worthless assholes don't have anything else going on, so pay up.
Yeah, this is a pay pig Findom episode. Apparently,
this is leaning a little hard in that direction. I don't know how long I can carry this bit. I just feel like I was rewatching the classic video Big Bill Hell's Cars. And I'm like, man, we got to do something like that. That would be a really good intro bit one of these days.
Oh yeah, the home of challenge pissing.
Yeah, just like Big Bill Hells, we'll also fuck your wife. But let's. That's a very special Patreon tier.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should maybe stop teasing people and get into the point today, because I think it might not be super obvious. We kind of teased this a little bit in the last bonus episode. Pay up, guys. Check those out. No, not really. I mean, maybe. But we were kind of teasing near the end. I wanted to do an episode kind of talking about various like art scams and like the online art community, whatever that means. And I've been looking up some different things for us to go off of today, because I don't really participate in a lot of this stuff, in spite of like being an artist myself. So we'll see where it goes. Today is kind of an episode where I think we're just gonna go like full on hater mode on TikTok and Instagram and on a lot of these other like stupid bullshit websites, because that's what you guys are here for. So we're gonna deliver.
Oh yeah, this is good. This is gonna be a juicy one, folks. Strap in.
Yeah, I feel like I a lot of this is based on very pent up anger that I've had from a previous attempt to like make it as an artist over on X.com, the everything app. Check out the last 2 episodes we did, one bonus, one main, on why Twitter sucks, and I'm kind of over it. But yeah, so I don't know. Just starting today off, I kind of wanted to get us on like the same page here, kind of talking about like the history of what it's like to post stuff on the internet. This isn't anything like too new, but I think it's a good thing to remind ourselves. So like looking back on like the early internet, right, I think things were like a lot different back in like the mid to late 90s, kind of early 2000s, because unlike today, like the idea of getting paid to put anything online was like a bit of a pipe dream. Like nobody was like really doing that, other than like, I don't know, I guess existing companies had a website or something. But I think like I look on what the internet like was like back in my childhood, and it really feels like back then everybody online was like some kind of like at least vaguely like tech savvy like enthusiast or like hobbyist or something. It was people in it like really for the love of the game above anything else.
Yeah, exactly. And for anybody old enough to remember the old Web 1.0 days, it really did seem that way. And I mean, you could see that with I mean, there's a lot of people who kind of have notoriety these days because they came up doing like Newgrounds shit or something like that. If we're talking about the art, yeah.
Newgrounds was so big, and I know it's still here, but it's like it's not exactly mainstream in the way that it was back in the day. But I do appreciate that it exists.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, like, people were doing stuff on platforms like that just for the love of the game. And the real goal there was, I mean, the best you could hope for is, like, you just get, like, internet clout on that site, in that community, which is cool. Like, but that's why you see kind of, like, I mean, there's a lot of dumb bullshit on there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was all high art, for sure. These were the origins of like internet memes and stupid viral bullshit that you would like, yeah, your uncle would email you or something like that. But the real thing is those people are doing it for the love of the game, and now people are doing it to make money.
Yeah, I get a little antsy. I kind of disagree a little bit when I hear people talk about internet clout as if it's like some like recent phenomenon or like new to the age of social media, because I think like that's not really true. I think internet clout has always been a thing, even if we like didn't really have that word for it back then. It's basically like I think the more academic term for it is like a sort of like social capital, right? Like having a reputation, having
exactly
like, people recognize you. I know like back in the day when I used to hang out on a lot of internet forums, you could identify somebody as having clout if like they replied to your post and you look at their profile and it's like 15,000 posts registered June 2002 super admin mandate of heaven or whatever with like some like shiny little like member badge or something, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's always been a thing. It's just kind of like the difference is that clout was the end, whereas now internet clout is a means to an end, which is getting money.
Yeah, it's all about getting paid. I know there are some people who have always been making a little bit of money off of the internet. Like I know like speaking of the art community, DeviantArt, love it or hate it, it's got a real special place in the history of the internet. So much really weird, interesting, dare I say, deviant stuff going on DeviantArt. But, you know, it's always been full of, like, artists who are like, hey, I'll take commissions to draw your, like, D&D character or something like that. Or, like, I look at a lot of the people who, like, really got in on the ground floor of Newgrounds, and it's just really funny to me seeing somebody who made, like, high quality fucking Flash porn games, and now they're like a real industry animator or something, like making a real living, and that's kind of crazy. I'm kind of happy for them, you know.
Yeah, I mean, fuck yeah, like however you get your foot in the door there, that's cool. And the thing is, I have more respect for those people because they originally just did it because they fucking wanted to and they liked it. And it's different from, there's a lot of people, and to be clear, of course, there's a lot of people who get into creation just because they want to make cool shit, like us, for example. Obviously, this isn't a cash grab. We're making this podcast because we just goddamn love podcasts.
Yeah, I would still be yelling into a mic, degrading people because I'm a crank. It doesn't matter if we're getting paid at all. I think just getting paid just means I have more time to do this every week rather than
that's exactly, yeah, and that's exactly the thing, and that's where the viewer support model comes in. Is I mean, if we were doing this for a quick cash grab, we would have quit by now for sure.
Yeah, I think we're still deep in that phase of like the 2 or 3 years where we have a really tiny audience before blowing up. I think this is a little analogy that I've used many times in the past, but maybe to like move things a little closer to the present. Dave, I'm gonna ask, like, what would you say is like the really big difference between like old websites like DeviantArt and Newgrounds and forums and stuff and like social media today? What's the like big difference in like how they function, in your opinion?
So the main difference is that the forums of yore were it was kind of like small, more like insular communities dispersed across the internet, whereas large social media platforms now are like everything together all at once for everyone, which sounds cool in theory, but it's not, because everybody has different interests and different like they want different stuff. So like,
yeah, it's almost like people like you and I should not be on the same online community as like Hitler Cunny 1488. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or like quote unquote like influencer models who like their entire content is like taking selfies in the mirror wearing like just different clothes and shit, and it's like which like whatever. I that's kind of beyond the scope of, I really
hate the word influencer, but I will admit, the other day I was in a Discord server which will not be named, and I was talking about the podcast to some random person, and they picked up on like one of our in jokes, and my immediate response was like, haha, get influenced, nerd. So I get it.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things, kind of like content creator or like content or whatever, where it's like the term itself is kind of innocuous, but it's like what that means in today's social media landscape is like much more sinister. It's yeah. If anybody calls themselves an influencer, it's like, oh, you make slop. That gotcha.
Yeah,
you're just a numbers person.
I've went off before about how much I hate the phrase like content creator, because it's like, man, I would really rather just be called like an artist or like a podcaster or like a game designer or something like that. I feel like, I don't know, there's something like inherently like a little cheapening and exploitative. It's like when people call me like a content creator, it has the same vibes of like, it makes me feel like a prostitute. You know, I feel like that's a word we're not really supposed to use as much anymore. But like when I hear people apply this label to me, it feels like I'm getting fucked, and like I might be getting paid, but I'm not having a good time, you know?
But I mean, that's a thing, is like, we're not sluts. We're not fucking for fun.
Well, I mean, speak for yourself, but
no, I'm definitely a slut in real life, but
I'm more in theory than in practice for me at the moment.
Yeah, but like, yeah, that's the difference, is like a content creator, and I think that's what I think that's where the term really comes from, or how it's kind of used, is it delineates people who just like post shit on Instagram for fucks or shits and giggles, or like their friends or whatever for their other friends to see, and people who like want to market shit to like a broader community and have like more eyes on it, and that is prostitution in a sense of like, you're not posting shit for just because you want to. You're posting shit for money at the end of the day. And this is the thread. I've already mentioned it like 4 times now. At the end of the day, it all comes down to making money. And if these people could just like press a button and get money instead of like posting shit online for money, they would do that, and the internet would be like much better for it. So yeah, for sure. And also before anybody gets up my ass, please forgive the crude analogy. We love and respect sex workers. It is real work. Be nice to those ladies and fellas and yeah.
But
I mean, this isn't a judgment from sex workers. But the difference is, sex workers are, it's in the title. They're working. They're doing this for money. Mm-hmm. It's the difference between somebody who's sitting at home making coffee for friends and somebody who's a barista at a cafe. You're not doing this for pleasure. You're making money, and you might enjoy your job. Like that's fine. That's great. I hope you do. But at the end of the day, it's work.
Definitely. Yeah. I wanted to first agree with the things you said, and kind of use this as like a jumping off point to what I think is like one of the big through lines here. The first thing you brought up about how like, yeah, social media kind of differs from like the old like insulated little walled communities of the past, because like the entire internet now is basically like a half dozen to like a dozen websites that like everybody in the entire world is supposed to like rub shoulders on. And I think like putting everybody together in these like huge like mega communities creates a lot of like really toxic incentives, because I feel like there are just like frankly too many people on this website, so like we can't really there's no like company or staff team big enough to like actually moderate all the stuff that goes on there with like real people, and like everybody is fighting for the same amount of attention, so like we can't just have like a pure raw funnel and like all the best posts that people find organically rise to the top. We have to make these like shitty algorithms or whatever. And I think the big problem with this in a lot of ways is that back in the day, like when you went on to like, let's say a little like art community. I know when I was a kid, I was part of like 1 or 2 different like forums for people who fucked around in like RPG Maker 2003 or whatever like that. Yeah. And it's like, okay, in these communities you might have a few hundred or a few thousand users, but usually there's about like 20 to 30 people who like post kind of regularly. You see their names all the time, and then there's maybe like 2 or 3 people in the community who you can tell is like, oh, okay, this person has like actual like professional level skill. Their stuff is like really fucking fire. You know what I mean? And it's like what like the human brain is only wired to be able to like comprehend numbers that are like relatively small. Like, I don't know, this is just like one of those like the laws of big numbers or some shit like that. I'm probably using that term wrong, but it's like we only have like space in our brain to comprehend like so many other people. So it's like when you have something like an internet forum, it's more like a village where like if you spend even a little bit of time there, you are eventually gonna get to know like most of the regular people on there. Whereas like when I was on X.com, the everything app, and I will insist on calling it that from now on, trying to get eyes on the art that I posted over there, it was like, okay, the people who are seeing this are like my friends because they already follow me, and like sometimes like maybe one or two random people, but it was like, oh, I don't already have a following, so like the website is just straight up like making my post invisible to anybody who doesn't already know I exist.
Right, and that's the thing too. Is like, I'm sure we're gonna talk about metrics again, and the obsession with metrics later in the episode. But that's also the thing too. Is like, oh, okay, yeah, a couple random people liked your post. I've seen people. I'm not gonna go through this whole anecdote because it's not that interesting. But I've definitely seen people. One person in particular who. They open up an app, like a social media app, and they scroll through frantically and just scroll. They just like everything. I don't know what I maybe the liking gives them that crisp dopamine hit that they need so desperately from like frantically scrolling through Instagram. But like it's I mean that was harrowing to watch. That was like watching somebody stick like 4 heroin needles in their arm at the same time.
Yeah, it's
and ask their friends to push all the plungers simultaneously. But like, yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is like, the random people who like your shit, like, don't get too hype about it because a lot of people just like anything.
I was gonna say I already know this term because I was a psych major back in college, but are you familiar with the idea of a Skinner box?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so for people in the audience who don't already know, you've probably seen this in like pop culture, probably on The Simpsons or something, but no relation to the high school principal. But a Skinner box is basically like when you put an animal in a box and it has like it can like press the button to get like a little treat every now and then, and like you can set up different conditions for like how often it'll get the treat based on how many times it presses the button or whatever. And I feel like, yeah, that's basically how they design these websites, and it's like really really sad to see it in like human beings. I know like one of the genuinely most like bleak, despair inducing things I've ever seen is like if you've ever been to like a casino or something and you stop by the slot machines and you see a bunch of like old people in like their 70s and 80s or whatever, and they're just like pressing the button over and over again, just inserting the coins.
Are the worst.
They're
the worst.
Yeah. It feels like I'm watching people being tortured. You know what I mean? It's like,
no, like that's the thing is like I as somebody who had a brief stint going to a lot of casinos, and before you judge, motherfucker, my friend lived across the street from a casino in Asia, and they're a little bit different there. All right, I'm not going to the Bellagio every night, although maybe I would, but so I've seen a lot of degeneracy at casinos, but like it's so much different with like something like roulette or blackjack, where there's a little bit of time between, you know, like deals or spins or whatever, where but like the thing about slots is like it's just like it's nonstop, just like press a button. And I one of my most seminal memories when I think about gambling is like it was one of the first times I went to like one of the native casinos that was around here, and I just it was exactly like you described, like a bunch of boomers straddling like 3 slot machines, just mashing the buttons endlessly, like getting served like Irish coffees.
They got a fucking like glossy eyed stare in their eyes, just completely vacant, you know,
destroying their like social security check like in one night. It's like oh my god, like holy shit, like yeah, that's
yeah, maybe
and that's yeah.
Sorry, are you done or
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Sorry, I feel like we're constantly talking over each other because we got so much stuff. But I wanted to I kind of wanted to stretch this a little bit further for people who don't already know the Skinner box experiments. So there's the basic idea of like, imagine you put like a mouse in a box and it presses this button and it gets a little piece of cheese when it presses the button once. It's like, okay, when you set it up that way, the mouse is going to press the button a few times and it's going to get all the cheese it wants and it's going to be done for like a while or whatever. But they adjusted the box so that like it would only get a piece of cheese once every like 5 or 6 button presses, and it's like, okay, now the mouse is like pressing the button fucking constantly, and it gets even worse if you make it like a randomized thing, like in gambling, or like I don't know, like in the fucking bullshit gotcha games that I play. It's all based on the same science from these studies. And then there's like another version of the experiment where sometimes when the mouse presses the button, it'll administer like a tiny little electric shock, which is like the negative reinforcement. And it's like, okay, all these people lined up at the slot machines, they're gonna be losing a lot of money for every time they get a win. And it's like, even when you set up like these random conditions and like this like negative feedback, you are still establishing this like addictive behavior in people. And to like bring it back to the focus of today, like this is literally how fucking social media websites are designed, because like you have people like that'll just like endlessly scroll Twitter, I mean X.com, the everything app, and they'll just like comment, oh, this person called me a slur, retweet, dunk on this person, whatever. And it's like, man, we gotta unplug from this stuff, because I feel like one of the biggest differences between social media today and like the forums that I grew up on was like, when I would hop onto a forum to check out what was new, I would eventually run out of new posts and I would have to go do something else. And like that's not true anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing about the old forums is like, if somebody was like being a fucking dick, they would kind of get like bullied out of the community. They would kind of just be like shut up. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
and
it's
then,
yeah. When there's a manageable number of people, you can actually set up real like social expectations.
Exactly. You know? Yeah. Social control is a thing when you have actual communities, but it doesn't exist when you have the this is the other thing, like that like the people who were so sad that Twitter died is they're like, oh, it's a town forum of the internet, like we need this service. Like, no, we fucking don't, dude. We do not need that. We don't need town forums that include like 25 million people. That's not great. Just don't do that. Let's have like actual communities of like-minded people. Let's do that instead.
Yeah. So to bring things home, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what I see as like the online art community and how I feel like it really isn't one nowadays. I look at because I don't really use TikTok myself, I had to do a little research for this episode to see like what are videos on art TikTok like? What's the art TikTok community getting up to? And everything I found seemed to like reinforce all the negative things that I already see going on with other social media, because it's like I see people complaining where it's like, oh, I want people to see my art and illustrations or whatever, but I feel like I'm only spending 2% of my time making real art, and I'm spending the other 98% of the time like editing videos and picking out music and like looking at all these metrics and following trends and like juicing my fucking web page to like not a web page, like fucking like replying to other people so that the algorithm sees I'm like an active person. And it's like, this sucks. I feel like not only are you like not connecting with other people and like forming a real community of like-minded people trying to do the same thing, it more feels like everybody's just like one of many mice in like a big fucking Skinner box, and they're all like pressing the button frantically to get like even a little bit of attention on the artwork and stuff that they create. And like, I don't know, it feels like nobody's happy with this arrangement, and it seems sad to me. I feel like this is like a really detrimental thing to the whole idea of like being a creative person online at all, you know?
Okay, so I have two responses to that.
All right.
And the first one is so I've seen this played out in its most like in its most like unfortunate way of like when I used to do like Twitch streaming and shit. Like I was adjacent to a bunch of people, and it's like, and hey, if you're listening to this and you feel called out, no hate on you. Like I get it. We all got to play the game.
We hate the game, not the players.
Exactly. Yes. Well said. But like, it's it. Like there's people, and they get so deep down this rabbit hole of like, how do I like get my stuff out there? How do I get more eyes on this? And how do like, and then it like they get into all this like marketing shit and all this like the fucking brain rot with like the platform and the algorithms and setting up this shit and setting up this and then reposting stuff to TikTok, and then you can do this with it, and it's just like, and then they completely lose they lose like what they were doing in the first place, which is like their original like creative shit. And then at the end of the day, it's just like the main focus is on just like this like algorithm and all this other stuff, and then they're just like actually making the stuff for people to listen to or people to watch is like secondary, and that's really sad. And then the other part that kind of goes along with this is like now we're at a point where it's kind of like I like. I'm sure you've experienced this too, and I think we've talked about this before, where it's like sometimes I kind of want to like share this with people, like some people that I might know or like a community that I'm in, but I feel weird, and I feel because like everybody's so cynical right now, where it's just like, hey, like you might like our podcast, or you might like this music that I made. If you like that, or this, you like that kind of art? I made this kind of, like, check out my thing. You might like some of these. We kind of have the same taste, but I think like even if people in, if you're in like a Discord or talking to somebody, I mean, even like IRL or something at this point, it's like, people are just so like, they're so it's so sus for somebody to be, because like everybody's like shilling everything at all times, especially if you're in like a creative community where it's just like, in the thing is, maybe they would be interested in that. Maybe I would be interested in this thing that somebody's sharing here, but it's like everybody's just like, another person hawking their fucking YouTube channel, another person hawking their fucking SoundCloud, another person trying to get clicks and likes and followers. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, and it really sucks. And I say this as somebody who's like a little bit on the spectrum, a little ADHD. I'm a little neurospicy. I think that's the heckin' cute pupper millennial phrase, neurospicy, whatever. I often have this feeling of like, I genuinely am at a loss sometimes of like, how can I convince people of my sincerity? How can I convince people that no, I just think I made a thing. I'm a little proud of the thing that I made, and I want to share it with other people, like genuinely. And it's
exactly.
Like, even when like I don't care if I get like big numbers or something. I don't care like if I link you my art and you don't fucking slam the like button and retweet that shit all over the timeline or whatever. It's like, no. I just put like 10 hours into this drawing and I think it came out really well. And I just like to hear somebody go like, hey, that looks really cool, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't know. It just so often the way the internet is set up these days, it makes you feel like the bad guy for wanting even that basic little thing which we used to take for granted, you know?
And that's the thing about doing anything creative. Is like the point of this is to like share it with other people. But now it's like you feel kind of like tongue tied, where it's like like I made this thing, I think it's cool, I want to like talk about it, and whether it's like criticism or just like, hey, this reminds me of something, or just like, hey, that's fucking awesome, I love it. Like you kind of just want to like put it out there and just you know like have a because like that's a the fundamental function of like creative stuff is to just kind of like it is like community oriented. It is kind of like for other people. If you're, I mean, maybe
not
there
only,
are some people, yeah.
Not only do I agree, but I'm gonna double down and I'm gonna say like I legitimately feel like you can't really make art or like grow in your craft and get better at it and like really like reach your full potential if you are not making stuff in like a community of other people.
I
like,
agree. Yeah.
I feel like if you were just like hunched over your desk slaving away at illustrations forever and like nobody sees them, you never like share with other people, you never like get outside perspectives, I feel like you're not gonna grow, and I feel like you're kind of like missing the entire point of art in the first place to like enrich all of our lives collectively.
Exactly.
And, like,
yeah.
Like when I see people like doing all this stuff that like nobody actually really likes, like when it's like I just want to see the art. I don't want everything to be a fucking time-lapse video with like a trendy TikTok song playing or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, TikTok is supposed to be your art community. It's not a fucking community. You're not dealing with real people at any stage of the process, you know?
Yeah. And like I mean visual art's a little bit different, but I mean everything, as we said, is like it's community focused. But like I can say personally from my experience as a musician is like when I played solo music, like it was fine. I would like play shows and shit, and I would get like feedback from the crowd, and they liked it and stuff like that. And it wasn't, but like I kind of felt like I stagnated after a while, just kind of like just being in my own space for so long. And it wasn't until I started collaborating with other musicians where it's just like, man, one practice session with this cool fucking dude I met who played the fucking saxophone or some shit like that, and we just kind of rinsed it out, and I was like, I feel like I learned more in 1 hour than I did from the last 2 years of just kind of like refining the shit that I always do. And it kind of sucks that like we're a little bit, if not a lot bit, robbed of this sense of community by like all of this onus to just be on these like fucking horrible online social media platforms, and just like do the shit that the algorithm likes or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I honestly feel like I'm gonna go even harder here. I feel like if the old people lined up at the slot machine analogy was not like twisted and depressing enough, it genuinely feels like we're all a bunch of like fucking cows at the milking machine, just being like extracting all the attention and fucking likes and retweets and whatever that we can get, that these websites can get out of us, rather than like, I don't know, like actually just like turning 2 feet to the left and like looking at like, oh, there's like a real person next to me that I could be like having an actual moment with and like sharing my actual stuff. I think back to the example you brought up of like playing music with somebody else, and it's like, yeah, when you step out of your own shoes and you have to like for even a few minutes try to like sync up your brain and like all your creative tendencies with even one other real person, it's gonna force you to do and try things that you never would have come up with on your own if you hadn't done that. And I feel like if you want to achieve any sort of like success or even like personal satisfaction, it doesn't matter about like career and money stuff. If you want to feel good about your art at all, I feel like you need to like connect with other people and like get that outside perspective and like learn from other people's like experiences and successes and failures and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And like I hate to use this term because it's been completely co-opted by just like hustle grind set grifter fucking idiots, but it's kind of like the comfort zone thing. Like you got to get out of your comfort zone, which is true. Like that is true. The idea of this has been completely diluted and ruined by like the weirdest people out there who are basically just like, yeah, just take cold showers and eat raw eggshells, and that's why you fail in life, because you like enjoy anything. So just
you gotta take some ayahuasca and fire your entire social media team. That'll go over really well.
I mean, well,
maybe
that might not be
maybe a little teaser for a future episode. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm not so sure, to be honest, that that's the worst idea for some people. Some people.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll look into it. I kind of wanted to get into another aspect of this, because some people are gonna listen to everything we've said so far and be like, well, no, I actually interact with people all the time, and I'm not gonna say it never happens on social media or whatever. There are like actual like really close friends of mine who I met because they just randomly joined my Discord server back when I posted it on Twitter like 2 or 3 years ago or something, and that's like a whole other thing. But I think another aspect of social media is that when we do like interact with other people directly, there's a lot of incentive to be like really fucking mean and nasty about it. And I think this is the next little thing I wanted to talk about. Dave, are you familiar with the term art lore, or like lore about people on the internet?
Well, maybe not specifically. Go on.
So this is something I only learned existed a little bit earlier today, but apparently there's a whole like art lore crisis on the internet, and it's born out of what people call the art commentary community, which, as I've learned, is kind of like a glorified term for people who basically do like drama videos talking about like, oh, this other person did so and so, or like, oh, this was really bad, oh, this is not good, look how embarrassing this person is. And I don't know, maybe to start us off, what do you think of like fucking drama channels, that whole like little cottage industry, like in general?
I mean, it's, to be honest, it's like, it's the most, it's the form of slop that I'm most attracted to, I guess. So like, I'm not gonna hate on anybody who consumes this shit, but
we all consume a little bit of slop, at least.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, fundamentally, it's not good. We all know that. That's the fundamental difference. Is do you know you're eating slop, or are you eating slop just mindlessly and thinking that this is okay?
Or even worse, in the case of some of these people, it's like, are you eating slop and you think you're part of some like moral crusade for the greater good against like a really bad person online who you have to hold accountable or whatever?
Yeah. And that's a big one too. I mean, that's we did at Reddit. We did at Reddit.
We saved the city.
We caught the Boston bomber. Reddit.
I think that was that's where it came from. But yeah, so as I've learned, there's a whole art commentary community. And first, let me just like a quick aside, I fucking hate the term commentary community. You guys are not that fucking special and important. Call it drama. Like you're not like some enlightened, elevated person just like doling out your special little opinion out into the world. I think it's kind of
It's a small step above like zero effort React content. Like
yeah, for real. Like
yeah.
you guys
you're not yeah. You're
you guys
not
are not
creating
some
anything.
fucking patrician ass like enlightened class of people better than everybody else because you think someone's embarrassing online or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like these are people who cannot create, so they just comment on things that other people create. And I'm not gonna say that there's no function for like art or like film critics or music critics or something like that. But I mean, it's kind of it's kind of adjacent to the adage of like those who can do and those who can't teach, and in that instance is those who can't just make fucking shitty like reaction and drama channels on YouTube.
I'm okay. I'm gonna continue escalating a little bit. I'm feeling pretty provocative today, and I feel like there's a good chance that I might lose some of the people who are listening right now as I get into this. But I feel like this is important.
This is a more spicy episode than I thought it would be. But you know, I'm into it. I'm here. Full send.
If you want to turn down the heat, you have to pay for that. Okay, the next bonus episode will be very chill. Okay, that'll be the $6 aftercare.
Yeah. We'll take care of you. Just let us know in the Discord.
Right. So the thing I was gonna say is, I feel like there's something a little inherently like arrogant about putting stuff out there onto the internet, right? Like if you post anything you make online, it kind of comes with this implicit idea of like, oh, you want people to take you seriously. Like you think this is something worth looking at, something that people should like take time out of their day to like experience or something. And like for some people it's like, oh, I made this little art, I composed a little song or something, I think it's pretty good, I'd like you guys to listen to it. Awesome. If you're like a critic or like a commentary person, then obviously, you know, I have to assume you have some level of like self-importance in like the weight of your opinion and the quality of the stuff you're sharing out there like on the internet. And like when I look at this idea of like an art commentary community, it's like, okay, you're in here 2 for 2, because not only do you think that like your art is decent enough that somebody's going to want to spend like half an hour watching like a time-lapse video of you like putting it together, but also that like your opinion is so like important and interesting and deserves to be heard that somebody is going to like listen to it the entire time. And like maybe this is like a high standard, but like I apply these standards to like the stuff that we produce all the time, right? Like I've said this in many different like shapes and forms. I would not be doing this podcast if I felt like the stuff we were saying was not at least on some level like important or like worth hearing, or like the jokes we're telling are funny, or that like we have some perspective to share into the world that's not just like, I don't know, generic acceptably correct lefty opinion number 27, here's why this Jubilee video is stupid or whatever. I feel like I feel good about this show because I think we do something that like we don't really see in a lot of other podcasts. I don't really know anybody who's doing a show like quite like ours, so I really stand by that. But when I look at like the art commentary community, I see people who both have like mediocre fucking opinions and, even worse than that, middling fucking art. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what the deal is here, because it's like, are you guys just like, are you just really here for the commentary and you feel like the art is like a better like background visual distraction than like Subway Surfers or like Call of Duty footage or whatever? Or like, are you here for the art and you feel like nobody is going to see it unless you pair it with this like really spicy provocative take about what internet dipshit number 27 is up to this week? And I don't know, I feel like all this stuff just cultivates kind of a bad audience, and like I think it just sucks.
Well, that's a curious thing too, because we know at this point that all of these social media algorithms they favor shit that's divisive. That's how you get engagement, because people cannot help themselves but to comment on shit and just be annoying and shitty and toxic. For some reason, people go on social media to see shit that they hate and just go in the comment section and just say, you're fucking stupid. Fuck you. This sucks. Which seems like a really poor use of time to me personally. I'm not going to say I never did that. I mean, I did have a dark period in my life when I was like really toxic on the internet. And I mean, I can say from personal experience, and I have a lot of friends who have admitted that themselves, is like they did this because they just felt shitty.
I relate to this a lot because I don't really promote my blog because I have like 2 posts on it, and it's like, okay, I think I might just not have the free time to do blogging. But a while back I wrote a post called Kill Yourself, about how I often feel like this is a thing I've struggled with, like this compulsion to tell other people like, oh, hey, fucking kill yourself, as like the most extreme form of like instant escalation with like any like negative reaction. And like the whole thing about my post there was this feeling of like, okay, on all these social media websites, it feels like all our interactions are so like meaningless and stupid, and it's all just like based on like baiting engagement or whatever. It's like if I log onto Twitter or something, I'm not expecting to have a real reasonable conversation on any subject with like Hitler Cunny 1488. So I feel like often, okay, why not just like skip all the foreplay and just go straight to fucking kill yourself? Because like there's neither of us was ever going to get anything good out of this interaction.
Exactly.
And like in spite of that, I do know deep down, like, okay, Briar, do not tell people to kill themselves. That's not a kind thing to do. You don't know what people are going through. You're going to make your own day worse by engaging in this at all. And I have to pull back a little bit, but I look at this whole thing of like art lore where somebody will like, oh, maybe they're like really bad at art sometime, or they give like a really embarrassing take, or sometimes the person's like legitimately like kind of bigoted or something, or maybe on the other side of the spectrum this person's like a little hypersensitive about some like social issue or whatever. And it's like, do we really need all this like content where people are just like ragging on other people for being kind of embarrassing while like working on a drawing or something? And I think we don't. I feel like this stuff doesn't provide any value to the world. I don't think it needs to exist.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's my prescription, as fucking tempting as it is. And I'm guilty of this. I'm not speaking down to anybody. I'm not being holier than thou.
Dog, I played Overwatch for a while. I can't judge fucking anybody.
I played fucking League of Legends. This is the same shit, and Overwatch, so I'm fucking cooked on that one. But yeah, like it doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't do anything for them. And yeah, it's like I said before, like people fucking while out sometimes. And like really, like what I would like to do sometimes is just like fucking reach through the screen and just shake these motherfuckers. Just say, yo, chill. Like, are you okay? Like, chill the fuck out. And like the thing is, I think there are some people who are cooked, and we should say that to them. I mean, like, if you're talking about like, so here's a different, like a Mr. Beast, yes, kill yourself. A Mr. Beast fan, you're either misguided or you're 7. Or we shouldn't tell or both. But I mean that's my whole thing. Like we've been teasing this for like a year now, but we're gonna do the incels episode once in a while. But that's kind of my thing about incels too. Is just like like I hear this shit and it's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? But it's like, with them, it's just like I kind of just like I just want to like give you a hug, man. Just like tell you like, dude, you're fine. Just like I relate, man. Yeah,
I relate so much when you brought up the idea of like reaching through the screen to shake somebody, because I feel like you just know so many motherfuckers on the internet or just like at their desk all day, just like completely alienated from all other people, even on the internet itself, because of like how these websites work or whatever. Yeah. And you do genuinely feel like, okay, if this person felt the warmth of a human hand like on their shoulders for even 2 seconds, like you would immediately like fix them, you know.
No,
at least I want to believe that, you know.
And that's the thing is like when you think about like all these like 4chan chuds and like Kiwi Farms people, and like incels.is people, it's just like, dude, if you gave me an afternoon with this motherfucker, we had a coffee and just fucking kind of chatted and just like they talked to a fucking normal human being for once, like I think I could fix him. I really think I could fix him. And that's part of the problem, is they don't have that kind of like normal social interaction, because one of the problems is all of these like really toxic like shitty, whether it's alt-right or just like just generally fucking assholes, you know, just existing out there in the internet space. They prey on these people because it's an easy mark. And yeah, like but like from personal experience, I've talked to people like IRL, just whether it's somebody I knew or whether it's somebody I just met, and they start to get into this like chuddy shit, and I'm just like, hey, that's fucking silly, dude. Like, in here's the thing: if you are the archetypical blue-haired liberal, who is just going to be like, how dare you say you're a white supremacist, like chill out, don't do that, that's gonna push them way farther into whatever hole that they're in. Just be normal. Just talk to them like a fucking human being. And like I've definitely had like a lot of instances where I had conversations with people, and instead of getting like all fucking debate bro heated and repeating like fucking you know, lefty YouTuber talking points and calling people pieces of shit and chuds and telling them to kill themselves, I was just like, do you really care about that, man? Like, come on. And they're just like, yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. I guess it doesn't really matter.
Well,
like,
I see. I agree with all of that, but I kind of want to kind of add on to it. I don't think it's also like necessarily exclusive to like lame conservative, like right-leaning people on the internet.
For sure.
Either.
For sure.
I know,
for sure.
One of the things that I found really unbearable when I was on Twitter was, even though, like I've said many times before, I cultivated my Twitter feed pretty well, even like deep into the Elon Musk era, I am still seeing like 90% of the stuff on my Twitter feed is either art or like shit posts from like people who I think are funny or whatever. And like, hey, that's perfectly fine. If that's all you use social media for, God bless you, whatever. But the thing is, I guess the Twitter algorithm or whatever worked out that I'm a trans person or something. So like a lot of the quote unquote like funny shit post things I see on Twitter, it's like, oh, there's this like trans like hot mean girl or whatever, and she's just like spends all day like quote retweeting other people saying like, oh, this person like dresses like a fucking I don't even remember the acronym, just like, oh, this person's very clocky, oh, your makeup is really bad, sister, do you want to go out in that outfit or something? And I'm like, man, why are we so fucking mean to people in our peer group for like no fucking benefit? Like is
there a term for this, by the way? Like it's like a TERF, but for somebody who's actually a trans person, who's like it's like the next layer of TERF, where it's like I'm trans, but it's like you're not trans enough.
There's it's a whole other. It's a whole thing, and I feel like I think I know some of these terms, but I don't want to take a risk here and get it wrong, because it's like I'm a little, I don't know, maybe a little tangent here. I often feel like I don't fit into a lot of like overwhelmingly like queer or trans spaces on the internet, because like some people will legitimately just like dislike me because they get the impression that like I have too many things in my life together, like I don't have enough trauma, or like I own my own home, or like I'm relatively like well adjusted or something. Like a lot of people will just like hate me for that. And I don't know, a lot of things about like inter-community stuff among like queer and trans people on the internet really feels like the whole like like crabs in a bucket analogy. Like somebody will try to get their shit together, and just like fucking incels on 4chan or something, everybody else will resent that and find like ways to start this like moral crusade, or like post like snippy little like quote retweets to say something mean or whatever. Maybe we'll do a full episode on it at some point, but I don't know. I genuinely feel like I'm not online and self-loathing enough to talk off rip about it with any confidence.
But I mean, just like I was going to mention this earlier, but it all comes down to again, like it's just insecurity. It's just feeling bad. People feel bad and they act out. It's like it's not that complicated. I mean, it is, psychologically, but it's a very well-known thing. It's kind of like
it's a very cliche saying, but hurt people will hurt people.
Yeah. It's like if your dad abused you, you're more likely to abuse your son or daughter or something, which is fucked up, which is shitty, and it seems like very counterintuitive, right? Like it's like you'd think somebody who goes through that would just be, I'm never gonna be like that. I'm never gonna put that out in the world. But humans are fundamentally irrational, and we continue to see that play out in the town square of the internet, the social media apps that are for some reason still around. Why are we still using these, by the way?
So I don't know. I had this whole theory a long time ago because you look at websites like Blue Sky and Mastodon or whatever, and they're like, ever since Elon Musk bought Twitter, there have been like several like migrations where everybody were like, this change to Twitter is the final straw. I'm finally out. This is a step too far. And then like a week they're back here posting on Twitter again. And I often feel like, okay, I've used Mastodon a little bit, and it's kind of like if you took like the UI for Twitter and applied it to like the old internet format where everybody did have to host their own websites and have little like insular communities or something. Yeah. And I had this theory of like, okay, why aren't people staying on Mastodon? Because I found like one or two little Mastodon communities that I thought were like really nice and seemed to have like some cool people in them, and like they were pretty positive and chill and whatever. And I was like, I think this goes back to like the slot machine Skinner box thing. People want the gratification of that occasional piece of cheese, even if they're the mouse getting electrocuted every now and then. I think people go back to Twitter from these other websites because they've grown accustomed to the negativity and like the negative like feedback loop of all the engagement bait and like fighting and like fucking dunking on other people and just the whole like nasty like quote retweet culture or whatever of these platforms. And like when I look at like the art commentary community or whatever, I'm like, who the fuck is here for the art? Like, do you see anybody who's like legitimately like a fucking professional industry level person doing like really cool amazing things, like following this stupid drama about like, oh, this person groomed somebody else? Like, no, these people don't fucking care. This is like the domain of like amateur people who like are not really invested in the art. They're just here for the fucking like slop trough of fucking negativity. And I think that's the real problem.
Yeah. And it's weird that like that's the addiction. It's to the negative shit. You'd think it would be the positive shit, right? But
well, that's the Skinner box thing. Like you could get you could press that button 100 times and you could get like nothing 80 times, and then like an electric shock 19 times. So if you get even one piece of cheese, you're gonna keep coming back and pressing that fucking button for some cheese,
Yeah, because it's the possibility of something, and hey, anybody who is a psychologist and knows more about this than me, I think at this point we don't really have to preface this that we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. but
listen, I got a fucking 2.9 GPA in the 2 semesters I took psych classes. I think I know what I'm fucking talking about here. Okay.
But there was one thing that I read about gambling addictions, and it was like, the thing is like, you would think that the addiction of gambling comes from winning, right? Like it's because you feel good when you win, so you kind of keep doing this so you feel good when you win. But I think a lot of the research has said that like it's not the winning actually. It has nothing to do with the winning. It's about like the times when their brain lights up the most and gets so excited is when you press like the bet button or the spin button or whatever. That's the thing.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
if
thing.
you need some evidence of this, I feel like we don't really see loot boxes in a lot of games anymore, but I'm sure you've seen at least some clips of like a gacha game or something where it's like, oh, do you want to pull for this character? And then you press the pull button, and it's like, oh, it's all these fucking shiny lights going off, and like the thing is spinning around, and it's like, bah, 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 and then it's like, oh, you got another fucking like level 1 whatever loser character or something, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, no, it's not about getting the character you want. It's about the fucking little dopamine hit of pressing the button and the possibility of getting
Exactly. So that's a fundamental thing about the Skinner box is like when you have a 100% chance of winning, when you press that button, it gets boring after a while. It's the possibility of winning. It's
even worse because like there have been a few times where I'll be playing a gacha game or something. It's like, oh, a new character that I really wanted just came out or something. I'm like, oh fuck it, I guess I have like 3 tickets. I guess I'll pull for it or something. And I get it in the very first fucking pull I put down, and you know what I feel afterwards? I feel empty. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I beat the game. I got the thing I want. I'm going to come back in like 2 months now to get the next thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm done with it now, you know?
Yeah, so, I played a lot of roguelikes, and I have the same thing where it's just like, the shitty roll, well, I'm going to spend 9 gold to possibly get a better one. It's like, oh, that's what I wanted. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's not about winning. It actually, I don't know, it kind of, you feel a little deflated when you finally get the thing you want, because it's like, okay, now the chase is over. Now you just have the thing. Now you're back to the grind or whatever.
And for anybody who plays roguelikes, like I think if you really think about it, like everybody thinks, oh, I had the God run, everything went fucking perfectly, and it's like, I've had those before, and it's kind of just like, oh, the best thing. Oh, the best situation, like, sweet, I'm going to win this one. Like, I'm calling it on round 3. I'm definitely winning this one. It's like, and then you win, it's like, cool. But it's the ones where you're just like, fucking God, I've had shitty luck this whole time. Give me something. I got not every the best one, but it's something.
Every time I go on an extended break or hiatus or something from a gacha game, it's because I got the character that I wanted, and now, like, the whole game is getting characters. So if I got the one I wanted, I feel like I beat the game now. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's why I'm immune to being, like, a full whale or something. But Yeah, either way, I think I've done enough ragging on the art commentary community, but I wanted to wrap up the episode kind of talking about some other trends that I've seen on art TikTok specifically. And I think a lot of the problems online come down to, like, a lot of these people are very young. I feel like I look at, like, what art TikTok is producing, and it's like, oh, this is, like, kids in, like middle and high school. I've seen this whole thing about, like, oh, there's, like, a whole, like, I don't know. I think the term ageism is like, that's a little, I don't know. I think a lot of people will roll their eyes when they hear the word ageism. That's like yet another like ism, another bigotry, whatever. But it's like on like art TikTok or something, there's like a whole like prejudice around people's ages where they feel like, okay, if you're like 14 years old, you're like a baby and your art is going to be shit. And it's like, oh, you're 15 now? Oh, you should be a lot better than those 14-year-olds. And it's like, oh, are you a 20-year-old artist on TikTok where you're basically like an old hag, so you should be like an industry pro or something by now? And I'm like, that's fucking insane, dog. I'm 31. I've only been like earnestly working on my art for the last 2 years, and it's like, man, like I would get fucking eaten alive if I was trying to make it big over on TikTok, you know?
Yeah. So my thing with ageism is like, first of all, it is a thing. It is a thing. People are judged by their age. The difference with ageism versus something more insidious like racism is like race is fake, and there's no fundamental difference between like a person with fucking like blonde hair and blue eyes and light skin and a person with like coily hair and dark skin or whatever.
It's like, literally fucking 17th century pseudoscience or whatever.
Exactly. Whereas age is a real thing. Like you have lived on this earth for less time than another person, and that is going to influence a lot of things. This is not to say that all old people are fucking dumb, or all young people are dumb, or all people who are
some young people have a very difficult life. Maybe they're forced to grow up much sooner than they otherwise would like, and I feel for that. Then you have some people who are like grown ass adults and they can't fucking take care of themselves in spite of everything. Like someone whose name rhymes with Basman Gold or whatever.
Exactly. But this also goes along with something that that is near and dear to my heart, which is the idea of prodigies. And this is something you kind of see. We've seen this throughout the ages, like way before.
I see where you're going, and I hate this.
Way before social media was a thing, but there is this weird religious obsession with like people these days, and probably before this, of just like this idea of just like prodigies, where it's just like this magical child came and they can paint a picture like anybody can fucking Beethoven could compose a symphony at age 8, and it's like, yeah, cool, dude, like sweet, but like what is it, what does that matter? Like, what is that? What? Why do you guys care about this much? I think it's
You know what makes me feel fucking awful? Listen, guys, I love my mom. I have a good relationship with my mom, but sometimes like I'll be like going into the kitchen or something, and she'll be like, Briar, look at this thing I found on TikTok. You got to watch this video. And it's one of these like dog shit fucking like America's Got Talent style like talent show things. And she'll show me this video, and it's like, look at this like 7-year-old that plays like the piano just like Beethoven or some shit. And like, I don't have the heart to tell her this, but every time I see one of those videos, my mind immediately jumps to like, man, that kid was probably abused.
Abuse of parents, 100%. 100%.
Like, man.
That is, the fact, like, it's one thing if you, like, in aptitude is a thing, and in the creative arts and other things, there are some people who really just kind of like were born with a biological aptitude to something, and if you also like nurture that could turn into something, and that's great. Like, that's
also
awesome.
we gotta keep our cynicism in check. I know I'm being a little funny right now. It's not a guarantee that child was abused. They could also just be like intensely autistic for the piano or something like that. You know what I mean?
but so the thing is, when you're 7, your parents are playing a very big part in that. And
that is true, and also I don't really like everything that goes on with the fucking child talent shows. I think it's kind of unethical.
No, that's unacceptable. I don't think I just disagree fundamentally with putting children on display like ever. I mean, there's different levels of that. I mean, if you're at a fucking piano recital for your music school or whatever, that's a different story. When it's like your parents and the parents of the other kids in the school, but like if you're putting your kid on America's Got Talent, like that's weird.
Yeah,
that's
I only buy the toilet paper with the cartoon bears on the cover instead of the one with the baby, because I think it's a little more ethical.
Exactly. But I mean, the thing, like, if that person was like 25, or something. It's like, okay, maybe their parents were normal and then they just saw like this person had like a hyperfixation and like a gift for that, and then they kind of nurtured it. That's cool. When
I thought you were adding to my analogy, and I was just imagining like a fucking like 25-year-old Asmongold on the side of like a fucking bag of like toilet paper,
a bounty paper towel roll,
bounty gamer edition or something.
Honestly, I would buy that if it didn't directly support him, just because it would be funny. I would. Yeah,
it's a good bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted.
If there's like a Chinese paper towel manufacturer that will like bootleg his image and put them on paper towels, I will buy those, because it would be doubly ironic, because that fucking disgusting ghoul of a human being has never cleaned anything in his life. So it would be really funny to like wipe up messes with his face.
Yeah. Do you know? I forget his name. I think his name is like Elon Ma or something like that. The Chinese guy who looks a lot like Elon Musk or whatever.
Elon Ma. Yeah,
Elon Ma.
That's a deep fake, by the way.
Oh damn it! Oh, I was just saying.
I
imagine if somewhere out there there's like a Chinese Asmongold or something that just has his life like super together.
Hey, Chinese people who listen to Super Despair World, please do that deep fake next.
Yeah, as soon as YouTube falls apart, we're gonna be really big on Weibo.
Hey, I'm ready. We're gonna have a QQ. Like group chat and everything. It's gonna be awesome.
We're gonna be really big on Billy.
Yeah. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I derailed this entire thing with my Asmongold jokes.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I was talking. Oh, just the abuse,
the age thing.
The age thing and the but like fucking the age thing. This is why it annoys me so personally. Is because like with my musical career, I was in band class since I was 9, and I did not do very well. The main reason is because, well, number one, I had a bunch of like shitty music teachers. And this is a rant for another day, why most people who teach music are like the worst people on the fucking planet. But also, like I just didn't do well. In the other thing is, like, I couldn't sight read music that well. Maybe I didn't really like try that hard, or maybe whatever. It doesn't matter. So like, I went through like a lot of my life being like a music lover. And for some of you, like this might resonate with you with art or math or English or anything that you went through school. Fuck what you learned in school and what they told you were good at. And if you had an IEP or anything like that, that doesn't mean you're fucking dumb. It means school failed you and they couldn't figure out how to pigeonhole you into a certain thing. So anyways, when I went to college, I was like, well, I don't really know music, but like, I'm going to do this anyways. I'm kind of interested in tinkering around with this. And then like, I when I was like 20 or something, like I started like playing music with myself, and I was like, I can learn this shit like easily. Like this is like intuitive. Like it's fine. And I ended up like going from somebody who literally failed band in 9th grade to somebody who was like a semi-professional musician who got paid to play music and was like invited to play with bands and like still makes shit right now. So like, yeah, so I mean, I guess that ties back to the age thing in the sense of just like, cause that was another thing where and that's another reason I hate the whole narrative of prodigies, where it's just like, oh, you didn't choose this path in life when you were 8. Maybe you're just meant to dig ditches.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's really awful. I have kind of a similar trajectory with my art, where it was like, I still remember, I was like, I think I've told this story on the show before, so I'll be a little concise. When I was in when I was in like the last year of college before I dropped out, I was about 26 years old, and I was in this really intense like graphic design course or whatever. And it was one of those classes that was like, this is an 8 hour long class that you go to like once a day or something, and like that's the entire art program. And it's like, it was miserable, and just like absolutely destroyed like my self-esteem and my ability to do art. And like the teacher was like a legitimate like just bitch to me all the time.
Yep.
I would even say some of the stuff she did was like kind of abusive, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
And it just like completely like destroyed my self-esteem and my ability to think like, oh yeah, I can do art for like years and years and years and whatever. And so that was when I was 26, and then around the time I was like 29, 30-ish, I just happened to luck into finding like a really good friend group, and we made like, oh yeah, we're gonna do art and like creative stuff on like a weekly basis. And now here I am, like, where my art is good enough that very occasionally, I wish I could get work a little bit more often, but very occasionally somebody will dish out like hundreds of dollars for me to draw something, and like that's insane to me. So
yeah, and I had the same experience where it's just like, somebody would like see me, like I would play like an open mic or like just record some bullshit, and they'd be like, yeah, we're actually looking for like, can you play this wedding or something? We can pay you $500. Like, is that okay? Like, I'm sorry, that's kind of like, it's like, yeah, dude, like, sure. And they're like, oh, thank you. Like, that's very kind. It's like, yeah, like it's like never doubt yourself. I mean, like, I'll always be self-critical, of course, but
not to the degree that you can't get anything done, of course.
Yeah, and that's a thing, like, which kind of ties back to a lot of stuff that we've been talking about in this episode, is like, there are a lot of people who are gatekeepers, and they just feel bad about themselves because they are interested in this thing, this creative thing, but they feel insecure, and this is like a common thing. Anybody who's done anything creative or just been a fucking human being in the world, like, you feel insecure about shit a lot, and you feel like you don't deserve what you get. And like, insecurity is the root of a lot of like really, really toxic behavior. So I mean, that's probably the driving force behind a lot of these just like annoying online critic, like, React drama people, is they think they can't really do the thing, but they're interested in the thing. So the only way they can interact with a thing is to be a piece of shit in the sphere of a thing.
Yeah, I have an analogy here, which maybe it'll make it easier if we like abstract it down to something like, so imagine like your skill level in art is like your level in like an RPG or something. Let's say like a total beginner, brand new amateur artist is level 1, and like a fucking like industry level, like legendary professional, like a fucking like a mono or something like that, is level 10. Okay,
love a mono, by the way.
A mono's awesome, legendary, dude. I was gonna say, so like, let's say I look at a lot of the people in like the art and like art commentary community, and when I see like the most mean, nasty people doing like these like art lore videos about like, oh, this person's style is like really bad, or oh, this person just copied so and so. You know what I see? I see a lot of people who got to like level 2 or 3, and now they're just fine to sit there and just like shit relentlessly on people at level 1. And I'm like, this is really, I don't know, it's kind of sad, it's kind of pathetic. And I think when you bear in mind that like, oh, on like art TikTok or whatever, it's like, this is a lot of like kids and teenagers. It's like, okay, we're dealing with really immature people, and I think we're also like setting up very young and impressionable people for failure, because like, this is not an environment where people are going to succeed and feel good about themselves afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And this reminds me of a thing from the from the movie Waking Life. Have you ever seen Waking Life?
No, I have not.
It's a really interesting movie. It's one of those like rotoscoped animation movies.
I do have a soft spot for rotoscoping.
If you say like a Scanner Darkly, you know, I think
That one
that
I've
had
I think so.
that had Keanu Reeves in it, I think. But
I know there's also an older like Lord of the Rings or maybe The Hobbit adaptation.
That one's a little bit different because that was like more like it's harder to tell it was rotoscope, but like you can just tell now by the animation quality of the time. But anyways, that's besides the point. There was a line in there. I think it was from this movie. I hope so because I went on this tangent. But there was some dude that was talking about like the onus of like negative human behavior, and he said it stems from two things. It's either fear or laziness, and I think we can see the kind of the expression on that with a lot of this stuff where it's like it's fear of putting yourself out there as a creative. And it's also laziness of like, well, it's easier to just be a fucking dick on the internet than to like, you know, kind of like really like try to be a part of a community, try to, you know, do some stuff myself. Like, so I'm a little bit lazy in that aspect. But I'm also fearful of being vulnerable because art is fundamentally like vulnerable. When you make something, it's vulnerable as for anybody who's like made anything before.
And I want to hammer this point home about the vulnerability thing. I was talking a little bit of shit earlier where I said, okay, a lot of the people doing these art commentary videos or whatever. One, I'm not calling out anyone specific, okay, because I don't watch this stupid bullshit. And two, I said these people are often of like very like middling quality art, and I wanna like qualify my statement a little bit because I don't like to shit on people for their whatever skill level they're at in art. I think everybody starts like being dog shit, not being able to do art at all, and you have like 10,000 bad drawings in you before like one really fucking good one. Maybe not exactly that, but you have to make bad stuff before you make good stuff. The thing about being vulnerable is I think a lot of these people are fucking like middling, like poor quality artists because they've got to that level 2 or 3 and they're just fine to sit there because people aren't there for the art. They're there for the fucking nasty, whatever negative interactions. And it's like, okay, this person doesn't actually care about art. Whereas I would look at somebody who maybe is like a level 1 artist. They barely know what they're doing. But you know what? I'm in Discord servers with a lot of people like that. And you know what? They post art every fucking day. They're always at it. They're doing stuff that they like. They have fun doing it, and they're honest about like their shortcomings, and they're always improving. And I'm like, I think there is so much more value and merit to like somebody doing like really cringy, like fucked up, like fucking Sonic the Hedgehog OC art on like DeviantArt or something than like the best person doing this like fucking art commentary bullshit.
Yeah, without question, because the former is doing something.
It takes such heavy balls to put your art out there if you know that you're at that like beginner skill level, like for real.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like any time I've sent something to somebody like, this is what I'm working on, like you clench your asshole a little bit. But like, a lot of the times, like people are in this is the other thing. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced this, but like, you send somebody something and they're like, yo, that's dope. And it's just like, oh, my friend's being nice to me. But it's like,
yes.
Yeah.
It takes so much to internalize, no, my friend's not being nice. They're actually here to be supportive and whatever.
Yeah. And I've had people too who are just like, oh, this is cool, but like, what if you did that? I was like, oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I usually like to ask people like, hey, do you want any pointers or something before I give like unsolicited advice or something? I think that's the way to go. But
absolutely. But like, yeah, I mean, there's a thing about constructive criticism is like some people miss the point on that. Whether you're the giver or the taker.
To some degree, it can't be helped. You know, people are gonna misinterpret your tone or whatever, especially online over text or whatever. Mm-hmm. But either way, I think we're gonna go a little bit long today because there's like one last thing I really want to hammer home before the end of this episode. And I think normally I don't do this, but Dave, I'm gonna hold you to this. When you're listening back to this later, I think this has to be like the number 5, the fucking timestamp number 5, whatever.
Number 5.
Number five.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the thing I wanted to really hammer home here is this is going to be this is me trying to I'm turning the chair around, and I'm gonna talk directly to these troubled youths who are struggling on TikTok or whatever, especially if you're like a younger person and you wanna do art even as a hobby or professionally or whatever. And maybe I'm gonna lose a few people here because this is a bit of a hot take, but I think I want to make a sincere case to people for trying to. I think you should not enjoy your hobbies casually. I think life is better, and you're going to feel better and more fulfilled and like just more proud of the stuff you make if you really try to like master all the creative things that you try to do. And I know some people are gonna get really wound up about this because I see a lot of young people on like TikTok or whatever and stuff like that, people putting their art out there as just like a hobby or something. It's like, oh, I just like drawing a little fan art of the shows that I like, or oh, I just like doing my little OCs for this video game or something. And I'm like, okay, that's all well and good. I don't want to shit on anybody who just has like a little creative pursuit that they don't have any aspirations to make money off of. This is not about money whatsoever. I think you're going to be a lot happier in life if you try to pursue mastery in all the things that you seek to learn to do that involve some kind of like skill level or whatever. And I think when you look at the stuff that goes on a lot of these websites like TikTok, all this like the fucking drama community art commentary whatever stuff, I think a lot of people dwell on this stuff because it is a distraction from like actually putting time into like working on your craft and like confronting your shortcomings and going through like the little kind of grinding feeling in your brain, because your brain is going to like fight you a little bit when you try to like learn a new skill or get better at something. But I think you look at all the bullshit that goes on these websites, and I think a lot of it comes down to people who are insecure. So they just do this bullshit to feel better about their like middling quality art, or it's a lot of like really immature like little kids or whatever that are just here to like fucking fight about like whose character is the least problematic or something about that. And I think if you push yourself to reach that like level 2, 3, 4, whatever in art, you're going to rise above this stuff, because you don't see fucking professionals wasting their time on all this like petty little like slap fighting on the internet. They're actually just going out there, making the stuff they like, getting positive attention from other people who are just like dedicated to the craft or whatever. And it's so much better. I feel like only recently I've reached this level with my own art where like, yeah, I am like achieving a lot of my creative goals. I'm seeing actual improvement in my stuff. And I'm like, I don't have any fucking reason to follow a lot of people on social media. They're just at that like amateur level, like not taking it seriously, just getting into fights about like people's original characters and like who stole whose art style and whatever. I don't know, I'm rambling a little bit, but that's my case. I think you guys forget this like petty amateur stuff. I think even if you don't want to make money off of your art, I think you should take it seriously and try to get really good at it.
No, 100% agree. I don't. That's a thing. I think like people who do anything, especially creative pursuits, like they'll always like preface this, but I'm just, it's just a hobby. I'm not trying to do anything professional. It's just a hobby.
They talk like, as if like they're a little kid, fearing that they're gonna get like beat with a slipper or something. Like,
exactly,
dude, calm down.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, whether you're trying to make this like a thing or not, which I mean, like, it doesn't really matter, because like I think we should be able to make money and have jobs from multiple income streams. I know that's a very hot take from the like choose your career at age 18 mindset that we have now in our current society. But yeah, I never really understood that that my like I just want to be good enough to do like a couple things and then and that's it. Like I just feel like that's cope. That's bullshit. Like it's like it reminds me of like when people asked me about like learning Korean and they were like, "Oh, I don't want to learn how to like, you know, like read the newspaper or anything. I just want to be able to like talk to people." And it's like, why? Like, why wouldn't you want to learn to read the newspaper? Like, why not shoot for the fucking stars, man? If you land on the moon, it's cool. Like, but like, why wouldn't you want to be like as fluent as the people you're trying to talk to? Like, just go hard, man. Go hard.
Why ever settle for mediocrity in your own life? I feel like a lot of people just like settle and they don't push themselves as hard as they can because like, I don't know, it's like there's something a little scary and fearful about succeeding, right? I don't know if you've ever seen this.
Yes.
You know, the guy who created The Simpsons, Matt Groening, he did a lot of like little comic strips or whatever. And there's one of them where it's like it's this like bunny rabbit character hunched over a desk looking really stressful, and like there's a line graph going down. It's like oh failure over time, and then the next panel is the same bunny like looking really stressed, hunched over at the desk, and the line graph is going up like success. And it's like, oh man,
right.
Success and failure are equally stressful. So like, I don't know, maybe
for
you
sure
should learn to feel good about yourself, but at the same time, like, everything in life is a fucking struggle. So why not, I don't know, fucking go down swinging, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's a thing. It's like just have like high expectations for yourself. It's fun. It's cool. You can do a lot of shit. We have a lot of hours in the day. Like, I know some people work 2 jobs. Some people work 3 jobs. Like, that sucks. I know, but, like, shit, like, if you have a moment to yourself and you really want to, like, if you really want to do something, don't say, like, you can't do it. Just do the best you can. You're going to feel good about it. Don't, yeah.
Dave, do you have any experience with fighting games?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I look at like a lot of people like, okay, fighting games are kind of a niche genre. I think a lot of people get turned off of them, and I understand the various reasons why. It's like you try to like sit down one of your friends and it's like, okay, they've never played, I don't know, Street Fighter or something before. And you sit them down, you try to get them into like Street Fighter 6 or something, and chances are they're just gonna like press some random buttons and be like, oh, I lost. Oh, that I don't know what happened there, whatever. And it's like, okay, this person is not putting their whole pussy into this, and they're like not gonna have a good time. But you know, when I sit down and I'm playing like Guilty Gear or something, I will take the time. I'll just take like an hour or two to like, okay, go into the lab, try out a new character, learn like 2 or 3 like special moves, and just get used to pressing those little buttons or something. And in the time I've taken to just do that, like bare minimum, like learn the basic fucking controls, suddenly the game is a lot more fun to me, because like I will see like, okay, when somebody's like kicking my ass, I can make sense of the chaos. Like, okay, I should have blocked this. Oh, they used this thing here. Oh, I could have jumped over that, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, that's the same thing with art or like anything that you can develop a skill in. I feel like don't settle for just doing this like, oh, it's just a hobby. Oh, I'm never going to be really good at it. Oh, blah, 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 whatever. Especially if you're a young person. Like, no, sit down, do some studies, learn the different like terms in like art and illustration, like learn what fucking like construction means, like learn the basics of like colors and composition and all this stuff. And you know, you don't have to master it fucking overnight. This is it's a whole fucking process. But you know what? Even though it can be a little painful, learn to fucking love the process, and you will very quickly rise above the fucking like shitstorm of people who are like never gonna gonna go above level 1 or 2 and are just constantly arguing about like who should be canceled this week and like whose art is the most problematic and who ripped off this art style or whatever. Rise above that stuff. This is the fucking kiddie playground. No serious artist needs to. You don't need to go through this. You can just skip this entire level. Just go past it. You don't need to be there.
No, for sure. And that's the thing too, is like, I think a lot of people, like, I used to have this mindset too, where it's just like, oh, I either devote 8 hours a day to like going hard on this, or I just give up. And it's like, no, dude, take 20 minutes and just do a little thing. Fucking done. Do something else. Whatever. Like, devote yourself to like, shit, even 5 minutes. There was some advice I gave somebody on Twitter in the past where they were like looking for some art tips or something like that, and I jokingly said, you don't have to practice art every day of the week, but you do have to be screaming the entire time you do sit down to draw. And like, what do I mean by that? The joke is like, okay, a lot of people will be like, well, if you want to get good at art, you need to start doing it daily or something. Bullshit. That's not true. Don't worry about the quantity. Worry about the quality. Oftentimes I only sit down to draw like once or twice a week. And, you know, I would still like to do more for a variety of reasons, but like many weeks, like the only art I'll do will be the cover for this podcast. And sometimes not even that. Sometimes I'm just like have a bad week and I reuse an old cover, whatever. But pretty much every time I do sit down to work on some art or something, I'm not sitting comfortably in like the comfort zone of stuff I already know I can do. I'm pushing myself to do something that I previously would have thought is too complicated. Like, in a lot of my early ones, like I really struggled with like drawing hands or like dynamic poses or whatever. But nowadays I'll be like, yeah, I am going to do a cover with like a complicated hand gesture or some big like background scenery or perspective thing that like I just would not have been capable of like a year ago when we started this show, you know what I mean? So like, always push yourself to do a little more than you were capable of last time, and that's the way you're gonna grow. Never settle for like thinking like, oh, okay, I already know how to draw faces. No, you don't. Try something different. See how other people do it. Take yourself out of your comfort zone. Fucking pick up that guitar, jam with another person. You're gonna do shit that you never would have thought of before. I think that's why it's so essential to make stuff in a community of other people. No, I think that's a good point, and I like that analogy. Is you should be screaming. Just in this, like the one that made me think of like, so like if you're trying to learn another language, there are so many grifters out there right now, and they're just like, oh, don't study a language, don't learn vocabulary or read a textbook. Just watch movies all day and listen to podcasts and then just like become naturally fluent, because and it's like no. It should be hard. It should be hard. Learning shit is hard. You have to do effort. You can't just sit there and just like, oh, I'm going to watch DBZ in Japanese and become fluent in Japanese. These grifters will tell you that, but that's number one, that's not how they learned, if they ever did in the first place. But also that's not how an adult learns.
Yeah, the thing is, watching Dragon Ball without the English subtitles, that's not like a little treat. That's not a passive thing you can do to learn the language in an easy, painless way. Mm-hmm. That's the challenge you put forward for yourself after doing a few weeks of actual like language exercises. Mm-hmm. That's the test. Okay, that's when you should be like fucking like leaning forward in your chair, really like hyper focused on every fucking sentence they scream in that show at each other.
yeah and that's how a lot of these grifters frame learning anything, is they're just like, children don't learn things by practicing or studying at all, they just kind of pick it up. And it's like, number one, you're not an infant, and number two, that's not actually true, and number three, they have nothing to do all day than to just like fuck around, and you're spending most of your day like playing on the computer and then spending 1 hour a day like doing this
how many fucking hours of Asmongold playing World of Warcraft did you watch this week? Okay, you have you have some time you could take out of your day.
Yeah, I mean, if you if you were like stuck in your room, like if you were in solitary confinement, the only like stimulus you had for like 5 years was just like hearing like some foreign language playing into your cell, like, yeah, you'd learn that language pretty well. But
this is speaking of that analogy, this is pretty bleak, but I've learned that, man, apparently people in prison read a fuck ton of books more than the rest of the population. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I would read a lot of books if I was in prison too.
Exactly.
It's like, what do you do in prison? You read books and you do exercise. Yep. That's about it. So everybody out of there comes out very well read and ripped, and still, there's problems in the prison system.
So you're saying the prison system is awesome if you want to become an intelligent alpha male.
It's like that comic of the guy with the really big head, like, where do you work out? The library, except he's got a big head and a big body, and it's like, I work out in federal prison.
Yeah.
I don't know, to bring things home, I think, I don't know, this is going to sound like a very like, oh, cell phone bad sort of take, but like I look at websites like TikTok and like Instagram Reels or something, and this whole like fucking like short form instant gratification content, and I'm like, this feels antithetical to art to me. It feels like, no, art is not about like the end product, or like, oh, look, I wiped away the screen. Now, oh, look, this was so easy. Buy my shit ass brush pack that I didn't even fucking use in the video for like $20 or whatever. And it's like, no, art is like, and not just drawing, like art, creating stuff, being a skilled person who makes things in general. It's a fucking process, and it's a grueling process. And if you want to succeed and find fulfillment in it, you need to learn to love the failure and the pain and the grind. And then it's going to become enjoyable for you, and you're going to rise above the masses of these people who aren't taking it fucking seriously at all. And they're always going to be in the little kiddie pool, just like fighting each other over the most like stupid bullshit every week, and they're never going to grow or learn anything. And like, that's not like a stage of being an amateur or whatever that you need to grow out of. You can just skip that. Those people aren't real artists, okay? That's my hot take. I think those people aren't fucking real artists. You can rise above that. You can show me the most successful person on like art commentary, like TikTok or whatever, and I have more disdain for them than like a 10-year-old discovering what inflation means on DeviantArt. You know what I mean? So like, one of those people has their heart in it, and it's not the commentary person.
Yeah, for sure. Just if you're really interested in doing that, just do it. Don't worry about the.
Just do it. Do it.
Just do it. Just do it. But that's the last thing I'll say about like, TikTok and Instagram Reels and shit like that. Like, at this point, all of that short form content is an advertisement. Just think of it like that. And fundamentally, what does advertisement do? It plays on your insecurities to get you to buy shit. And in like with a TikToker or a Instagram Reel person, like, maybe that's not a direct call to action to like to buy their course or whatever, but like they want you to follow them. They want you to like the video. They probably have a link tree or something, and it might have a course in there. It might have something. They're funneling you into giving them money. At the end of the day.
Not to say everybody selling like courses or like brush packs or whatever is out there to scam you. I bought a really good brush pack for like $5 lately. I used a lot of it to make the very painterly cover for the last episode, and it came out great. But The thing is, the person who I bought the brush pack from, I just found because they were like, hey, I made a Twitter post. Here's what they look like. Check it out. And it was not like, oh, some fucking TikTok thing about like, look how easy it is to do art with my special brush pack. Wow, look at me erase this layer. I mean, actually draw the thing. Oh, isn't that cool? And it's like,
are
no.
you struggling with art? All you need is this brush pack. It's only $23, but unless you use code EPIC, and then it's $21.
Yeah. Also, not to shit on the brush people too much. There are some brushes that are very cool. I think it's cool to learn to use some other ones. But then at the same time, it's like you look at some people who are like real industry professional artists, and they'll just sit down and like fucking like Adobe Photoshop it or some shit. It's like, oh yeah, I just do the whole thing in the round brush. That's all you need.
Yeah, just
round brush everything.
Default brush the whole time. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty based. I don't know. I think we've hit all the points we wanted to this episode. I think I'm just gonna be spinning my wheels if I try to add anything else. I think, man, this was kind of an intense episode, Dave.
Yeah. I mean, we got some skin in the game on this shit for sure. So
some skin in the game and some skin in the box. You know what? Speaking of boxes, there's a box you guys can insert some money into for some big rewards and maybe a little electric shock every now and then.
We're gonna call out our beautiful supporters on Patreon.com. First and foremost, we got Shalom Guy and Trash Bins. At the Vanguard party of shooting that Project $20. Thank you, Shalom and Trash Bins. We appreciate you and your and your support on our initial initiatives towards that thing. You're on the right side of history. And the other people who are on the right side of history are the Sinister Six Sweeties, which is Weasel, Nick, Protagon, Clam, Walker, Dimbus, Braid, Nilly, Heresy, Trevor, and Woke Baby. Appreciate all of you for your continued love and support. Couldn't do this without you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much for the support, guys. We hope that most of you really like the bonus episodes. Sorry, this month at least one or two of you is going to get a video of me abusing some cats instead. But keep pouring that money in, and you'll get the bonus episodes eventually.
Yeah, this is just bait for you to do like a React TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The cats weren't real the whole time. It was just a pillow full of...
They weren't?
Wait, we talked about this. We talked about this.
Okay. Well,
shit.
We're going to have a serious conversation off air about this.
Fuck. God, I'm gonna have to edit this out.
Yeah, okay. Let's end on a high note. Guys, thanks so much for watching. This was an intense one. You know what? We're coming up really close on the 1-year anniversary of the show. Maybe it's next episode. Maybe it's the one after that. I honestly haven't checked. But you know what? Thanks so much for your support. Whether you give us money or you've just been like along for the ride. I know a lot of you have been here from the beginning. You guys are real motherfuckers. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.
True facts. Yeah, I think it's sometime in November. We're gonna figure it out later.
It's real soon. We're coming up.
Yeah, for sure. But anyways, appreciate all of you sweet listeners out there in listener land. And yeah, fuck yeah. Good fight, good night.